Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar. We'll look at the UKV, the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, as it will be turning quite a bit drier through this next upcoming working week. However, we did think it could be going a little bit warmer with this high pressure system building in. However, the models over the last few days have downgraded any of that warmth more towards average sort of conditions, and maybe even pretty cool in the east as we do pull in easterly winds. Especially towards the middle to end of the working week, it is likely we are going to pull in some pretty chilly air in from the east or northeast, and there could be some showers associated with that. So it will be mostly a drier week, probably temperatures best in the west. We could still reach the mid to high teens, but further eastwards it will be cooler, still probably sunny, and there could be a risk of showers towards the end of the working week. As we've seen in the longer range though, with the GFS, GEM, Ensemble and the Ensembles, that high pressure is going to be sticking around, but the runs are really unsure about where it is going. As we'll see in some of the runs, there are some huge temperature clashes. Some runs bring in some very cold air from the north, and then bring in some very warm, humid air from the south. So pretty much anything really is on the cards here in terms of temperatures. Some runs showing temperatures into the mid-20s, others showing really cold Arctic air moving in. So really up in the air, and it's all because we don't know where that blocking high is going to sit, whether it's going to be further northwards and westwards, bringing up more of a northerly or northeasterly wind, or whether it sinks southwards and eastwards in towards Europe and pulls in more of a southerly wind, or somewhere in between. That's where we could see some big temperature clashes, and a lot of rain, thunderstorms, things like that could be happening. So big uncertainty. We see it really quite well on the Ensemble members, which are really all over the place now. We had more certainty a few days ago, which was happening. Now, even sort of in 5 to 7 days' time, there is huge scatter appearing, so pretty much any sort of outcome is still on the cards at the moment, and we'll try and explore what is the most likely outcome in the second half of the video. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. So if you start on the live radar, you can see at the moment it is fairly dry throughout most of the British Isles. You can see there is sort of a line here where there is some shower activity, and that is the decaying weather front as it approaches the higher pressure. So this was much bigger, much stronger, with a lot of more moderate to heavy rain through it when it moved through the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, but through the rest of today it will fizzle away and sort of evaporate just into some thicker cloud. So areas further eastwards, not expecting any rain here, but it could be some thicker cloud through the afternoon as this weather front does decay away into the higher pressure, and then as we wake up tomorrow it should be quite a bit sunnier as the higher pressure does dominate. We do start to pull in easterly winds. As the high pressure is just forming at the moment, it's not completely dominating, but should be by tomorrow, where things should be quite a bit brighter and should hopefully feel a little bit warmer. But as I said, towards the middle of the week, that easterly flow will start to dominate, and it could be going a little bit cooler beyond that. Now, if you put on the temperatures as of around 1 p.m, again, you could see it best in the east and the far west. So under the higher pressure right now, even though the air mass isn't exceptional, it is getting relatively warm in places, especially through the Republic of Ireland, where we do have really dry and sunny conditions behind the weather front, and it is bringing temperatures in the mid to high teens. Further eastwards, ahead of the weather front, where we've got more sunshine, is showing temperatures in the mid-teens too. It's really under the weather front with a bit of drizzle and thicker cloud. Those temperatures are much lower. So these sort of widespread yellows should dominate the next few days, especially further westwards. The further eastwards you are, the closer you are to the cool easterly flow that's moving in. You can see to our east, the air masses, you can see, really not all too cold, but still chilly compared to what we would want this time of year and compared to our average. So it will be pulling in something a little bit cooler in from the east. No snow or anything like that expected, but just cool overnight temperatures, perhaps even towards freezing in some points, and in the daytime, mid to low teens is quite likely. So you can see the big split, and just shows you what cloud can do through April, and this will continue to be the theme. Wherever we see sunshine, those temperatures will respond. Wherever we see thicker cloud and slightly cooler air masses, a bit of drizzle around, it will really hold back those temperatures. Now, if you go over to the UKV and see what that is showing over the course of the next couple of weeks for the precipitation and the temperature, for the next few days with the precipitation and the temperature. You can see that weather front earlier this morning. It's now decaying away, and through the rest of today it should completely disintegrate. A few showers perhaps across the Republic of Ireland, where we've got that warmest conditions, sunshine allowing some showers to pop off, but nothing too significant there. Through the rest of this evening could be a few more showers in places, perhaps down the east under the weather front we see a bit more precipitation reignite. That's really appeared in the last couple of runs or so we'll have to see what happens with that, but it is mainly falling in the early hours, so really shouldn't be too much associated with that. Bit of drizzle clearing westward through the morning, before eventually sunshine should break through for many areas through the early afternoon and quite widely into the mid to late afternoon. So it should be quite a nice end of the day there for most areas. Still a few showers around, but again, nothing too significant. As we head into Tuesday, again, another really quite sunny day. Look at that. Clear skies for all, really quite pleasant. And those temperatures will respond in the west, probably mid to high teens. As I said, further eastwards, because of the easterly flow, it still will feel warm in the sunshine. But whenever we see a little bit of cloud drifting over early in the morning, later in the evening, it will feel a little bit chilly with those temperatures taking a bit of a hit because of that air mass. As we head through Tuesday into Wednesday, you see a bit more cloud starting to drift in from the west, but still relatively decent day. As we head into Thursday, you see thicker cloud and some rain appearing, and this is because we see an upper trough associated with a much cooler air mass drifting in from the east by the end of Wednesday into Thursday, and that will continue into Thursday afternoon, giving some showers elsewhere, but it still will be relatively dry and sunny through the rest of Thursday, further eastwards and northwards. So we'll have to see exactly what happens with this. The biggest thing with this associated little trough and the cooler air associated with that will be the cooler conditions. The showers will move through quite quickly, and hopefully only lasting a few hours in most areas. It will be the hit to the temperatures. It still looks really nice out there, look really quite clear skies through early hours of Friday, but it will be those temperatures that really do take a hit, and it's because the upper air temperatures take a hit there. You can see as that cool air mass moves through parts of England, Wales, and then into the Republic of Ireland, it does bring quite a cool air mass, especially in the southeast. It could linger too. It's really northwards and westwards, seeing the best conditions towards the centre of the high, not close to that easterly flow. So we'll have a look at those max temperatures, and you'll see it's not anywhere near as warm as it was potentially going to be a few days ago, but still is fairly decent compared to what we've had recently. So here's the west today, 17, 18 degrees in the Republic of Ireland, and across East Anglia in the southeast, maybe 14, 15 degrees again. Wherever the sunshine appearing, the best temperatures. As we head into tomorrow, temperatures again could respond where we see sunshine, even into London, close to that easterly flow. It's 16 degrees, so we still see some decent conditions in places, and you could see across parts of the West Midlands, not great, 10 to 12 degrees, but that's because there's cloud and a bit of rain there. Again, if that moves through faster than anticipated, those temperatures will jump up. So you can't take these temperatures too literally. If you do see a bit more sunshine than the UKV is thinking, then those temperatures will be a good few degrees higher. So always have that caveat, especially with this sort of pattern and this time of year in general, where sunshine makes all the difference. As we head through into Tuesday, you can see the overnight temperatures are cool, nothing especially cold, but sort of 5 or 6 degrees. And then into Tuesday afternoon, widely mid-teens to high teens in the west, lower teens in the east. You can start to see the effects of that easterly flow. Into Wednesday again, mid to low single digits overnight, and into Wednesday afternoon once again, northwards and westwards best, but still cooling down a little bit. As I said, Wednesday does still look like a pretty stunning day in terms of sunshine, but you can see the effects of the cooler air masses that are starting to drift in. 14, 15 degrees at best in the west, 10 to 12 further eastwards. And then into Thursday, cool overnight, and look in the daytime, much cooler where that colder pool does spread through. Again, you can see where it's sat through Thursday afternoon across parts of southern and western Republic of Ireland there, only 7 to 10 degrees. Areas further eastwards maybe recovering to 13 or 14, but still quite a bit cooler than what it was earlier in the week. And you can see that continues into Friday, where overnight temperatures are a couple of degrees cooler, more towards the low single digits there through Friday morning. You can see not too much of an impact, but it's just taking that hint of those temperatures, and it just means instead of seeing 17 or 18 degrees widely that we thought a few days ago, it's more 14, 15 degrees, because that easterly wind's a bit stronger, and we will be pulling in those little upper troughs and cooler pools at times this upcoming week. But as I said, it still should be generally quite nice. It will be generally quite sunny. I'd always trade sunnier conditions for slightly cooler temperatures than slightly warmer temperatures with cloud and rain. So I do think it will be still a pretty stunning week, but just not quite as warm as we anticipated a few days ago. So if you now have a look at the longer range, go through the GFS, GM, East and WF and the ensembles, you can see at the moment the high pressure building in. Easterly wind starts to really move in by around Tuesday, Wednesday. That's when the temperatures start to take a hit. And you can see the upper trough there appearing, really moving through Wednesday evening into Thursday, giving cooler conditions and the slightly unsettled conditions with a bit more rain appearing. Eventually, towards the weekend, the high pressure starts to move. And this is where we have the huge uncertainty in around 6 or 7 days' time. At this run, we've got the high pressure moving towards Greenland, and it's starting to pull in a northerly wind, and it produces a North Sea low pressure system, which will funnel in a lot of heavy showers and areas of cold rain. Now, this would be chilly. Look at that, a direct northerly wind, really quite cool conditions, but equally, because of the positioning of the higher pressure, and this cut-off low in the North Atlantic, it actually does have a clash of air masses here. Quite warm conditions trying to push northwards, and quite cold conditions are trying to push southwards. And the dividing line is across the UK. The -10 isotherm into northern Scotland, the +5 degree isotherm, or even the +10 degree isotherm into southwest England. Huge, huge temperature contrast. You can see very subtle shifts in this would bring this all over the place. And you can see this very well in the temperature deviation, 10 degrees below average in the north, 8 or so degrees above average in the south, and the potential equivalent temperature, look at that, huge, huge differences. Proper Arctic air moving into the north, milder into the south. Now remember, this is at day 10, very unlikely to happen like this, but this is why we've got huge, huge uncertainty, because 50 or 100 mile shift could change the conditions by 10 plus degrees very, very easily. So this is why I said at the start of the video, there is huge uncertainty appearing, all because we don't know where the high pressure will be going. Again, as if it's further south and eastwards, it cut off this northerly, and we see more of a southerly flow. Equally, if it remains where it is, we can see more of a northerly flow appearing. Now you can see here low pressure just sat over the top of us, more cold air trying to push in from the north, but equally, by the end of the run, because the high pressure over Europe dominates a bit more than the one over Greenland, look at that. 15 degree isotherm pushing in. So this GFS run is all over the place in terms of upper air temperatures. Very cold around day 7 to day 10 there, -5 isotherm moving in, turning slightly milder in the south there around day 10 to day 12. And then right towards the end of the run, colder in the north initially, and then a big Spanish plume arrives by the first couple of days of May there. Insanely hot, 10 to 12 degrees above average moving in. So really, really big uncertainty appearing here. And again, all due to where that high pressure system is going. And this is why I'll say at this stage, we have no clue what is going to be happening. We can only guess, really, of what the most likely scenario is. And from this latest GFS, it looks like we could have equally colder conditions and warmer, hotter conditions, all in the span of the same week. So we will have to just see GFS run a bit all over the place today. Now, if you have a look at the GEM, see if that does shed any more certainty on this. You can see again high pressure building in, the easterly flow coming in, the upper trough moving in later this week, and then you can see the high pressure build towards Greenland. And because we don't see as much of a cut-off low here, it sort of connects. That cold air does drift more into North Atlantic, less towards the UK. But once again at day 10, just because a slight shift here actually does veer more northerly, and actually we see a very similar pattern. -10 isotherm moving into the north, the +10 degree isotherm moving into the south. Huge, huge temperature contrast. Again, no clue exactly what will happen with this. Again, if this did come off, there'd be a huge band of very heavy rain through northern England and southern Scotland, snow on its northern edge, heavy rain on its southern edge, and you'd expect to see quite warm conditions in the far south, maybe even 20 degrees there. Again, we look at the 2 meter temperatures, 13 degrees in the far southeast, -1 in the north, and equally, if we go to midday, 16 or 17 in East Anglia, 0 degrees through the central belt of Scotland. Incredible, incredible temperature contrast appearing here, and even better if you look at the dew points. Freezing dew points in the north, 12 degrees in the south, is showing you the huge, huge clash in air masses. So we don't know what is going to be happening. Once again, GM showing us that it's all to do with that high pressure system. Where does it go towards Greenland? If it does sink further southwards and eastwards, northerly flow. If it moves well away and allows European high to develop, more of a southerly flow will move in. And both the GFS and the GM at day 10 have something kind of in between, pulling up a southerly and a northerly at the same time, with that temperature clash, air mass clash right over the top of us. If we do look at the ECMWF, see how that does compare. Again, will this shed any more light on it? Again, high pressure building in, the easterly flow coming in through the rest of this week. High pressure moves towards Greenland. We do try to pull in a northerly wind, but the high pressure system moves further enough away that we actually do build up that Euro high, and instead of pulling in a very cold northerly wind, we do start to pull in some slightly milder air in from the continent, but we do initially see a little bit of cooler air moving in from the north, so it will take a few days for milder air to move in. So very similar still in the ECMWF, but just not quite as clear cut, with probably more of a south to southwesterly pattern dominating here, with that colder air getting held off because that high pressure system becomes more of a west-based negative NAO, moving all the way out towards northern Canada. So yeah, very interesting seeing what's happening at the moment. We would be very, very obsessed with this if this was in winter, because this could set up a classic cold, snowy pattern. But being in April, if this did come off, it would be pretty miserable out there. A lot of heavy rain and a lot of up and down temperatures. Really not what we want. Considering what we've had over the last couple of weeks, all we really want is a bit of a drier and a warmer spell, or just generally more settled. You could argue this upcoming week is fairly decent, a lot more settled, not quite warm, but I'd say definitely this week is a lot more settled and a lot better. But yeah, this upcoming pattern really not all too good, and I keep bringing it back. This is probably still the effects of the sudden stratospheric warming we saw in February that did give colder weather into March and is continuing to give blocking patterns as we do head into spring. We do normally see blocking patterns in spring simply because the polar vortex does break down, but not normally to this severity and this frequency without a sudden stratospheric warming. So we'll just have to see what happens over the next couple of weeks, but again, it looks really all over the place. Now, if you have a look at the ensembles, you can see this very well reflected. Again, over the next 5 days or so, generally around average, slightly below and slightly above at times. You can see that colder pool moving in the middle of the week, with those with a big, huge drop in upper air temperatures for responding in about 12 hours or so. Could be some precipitation as well, but it does look like there'll be a good few days this upcoming week where it is bone dry. As we head into next weekend and beyond that, still higher precipitation signal, but nothing huge. I must emphasise that. There is an increasing signal, but nothing huge at this stage. We could still have some dry spells within it, but we'll just have to see. The big emphasis, though, is on those upper air temperatures all over the place. Some runs down to -6 to -8, others +8 to +10. So good 15 to 20 degree temperature difference in some of these ensemble members. And the biggest thing with that is the scatter at even sort of day 7 to day 10. Really no certainty by around the 21st, which is only in sort of 6-7 days time. The 23rd, only in around 6 or 7 days time. Some runs 4, 5, 6 degrees, others down to -2 or lower come the 24th, 25th. So huge uncertainty with what's going on, and you can see by these ensembles, they are all over the place. You could try to make some sort of trend from this, but there's at least a 10+ degree deviation, if not more, pretty much from around sort of 5 or 6 days time onwards. And we don't have a lot more certainty with the ECMWF either. All over the place once again from around day 6, day 7. Some cooler and slightly warmer patterns appearing, but still all over the place. Some runs +14, others down to -8 at 850 HPA, 22 degree temperature contrast. And again, precipitation does increase, so it is turning slightly more unsettled. But again, I wouldn't look at that too much at this stage, as those air masses and pressure patterns are not nailed on at all, as we saw from those operational charts. So I do suspect that these precipitation will change substantially over the coming days. I do want to finish by going back to the GFS and looking at the dew points. Again, this is a very good example of how to reflect the air masses. Anything 10 degrees plus is a warm southerly flow, Mediterranean, sort of mid-Atlantic air mass. Anything below freezing is more of an Arctic continental air mass. And you can see many runs going to 0 or down to -5, and a lot going for +5 all the way up to 10, so maybe even 13, 14. So once again, just emphasising the huge contrast in air masses, and some of these -5 runs coming at the same time as some going as +10, just showing you the ensemble members are all over the place. No consistency at this stage. It's one of the most scattered ensemble charts I've ever seen when we looked at those 800 VHP temperatures. So huge uncertainty what's going to happen. We will just have to see over the next couple of days. So unfortunately, not able to give you much of an outlook. We've all had a look at these charts, seen what's could be happening, and you can just see that there is no real consensus at this stage. It's all due to that high pressure system moving up towards Greenland, trying to provoke northerly winds, but equally in Euro highs trying to build in, trying to move in southerly winds, and we'll just have to see what happens. But regardless of that, the next 5 days does look generally dry, maybe a bit of rain through Wednesday into Thursday in the south, and a bit more cloud and a little bit of cooler conditions. But overall this week it will be generally average with a lot of sunshine around. Could feel pretty cool in the east, but further westwards, inland anywhere, it will feel relatively decent with a lot of sunshine. So do enjoy the next 5 days, and hopefully around middle of this week, towards the end of this week, we'll have a much stronger idea of what's going to be happening for the rest of April, and these ensemble members and operational runs have come to some proper consensus, hopefully by then. So anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure you enjoy this week. It's going to be fairly decent. No heat wave or no real warm spell, but quite much drier and pretty nice in most areas. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.